Okay, so there has been a picture circling the internet among people who don't trust what's going on in Delphi, Indiana with the Abby and Libby case. Brad Holder was mentioned in the Franks memorandum by Richard Allen's defense attorneys, and he was a suspect of the public, not only the public though, because we have that new document about them destroying the state, destroying exculpatory evidence, because he was interviewed about the crime only 3 days after it happened, along with Patrick Westphal. But he was suspected by the public very early on because of the really weird things he was posting on social media, like Odinist type stuff, Freemasonry stuff, also like pictures that looked like the crime scene, like oddly similar to the crime scene. A lot of strange stuff. And he started taunting the public, like putting on a hat that people thought looked like Bridge Guy, and provoking people. In the Franks memorandum, there were things said by his ex that, he literally accused Patrick Westphal of doing it, and a group of people known as the Vinlanders, and that they also had a hand in the Flora fires. There's a lot of allegations in that Franks memorandum surrounding him and Patrick Westphal and other men. Elvis Field supposedly literally confessed and said he spit on the bodies. Like, there's horrible things mentioned in the Franks memo, and it's insane to learn that there is a connection between Brad Holder and the prosecutor of this case.
Yeah.
It's like almost absurd. Does that say which lodge?
Yeah.
Okay. So this picture shows Brad Holder as a 33rd degree Freemason at the Tipton Lodge in Logansport, Indiana. And we now have a picture of Prosecutor McClelland at the Tipton Lodge also posted that.
Mm-hmm.
But it says he's a member of the Mount Zion Lodge in Camden. But he apparently got a award or something in Tipton Lodge.
MM degree. Received his MM degree this evening in Tipton Lodge number 33.
Yeah.
And remember, 33 is like their number.
It is their number. Very much so. It's the highest if you're a 33 degree Mason. At least in, I think, the Scottish Rite, I believe. But to know they go to the same lodge is kind of disturbing.
It's disturbing because it makes you wonder if it could alter the course of an investigation.
Now, I want to mention that Prosecutor McClelland was not the prosecutor on this case when it first happened. The prosecutor on this case was Robert Ives. Robert Ives, I tried to look into to see if he was a member of the lodge, and while I can't find anything definitive right now, I do have an obituary. And this obituary is for an Elizabeth Betsy Ives, 41 of Logansport, formerly of Delphi. She died March 23rd in 2000 at her residence. And I'm not going to go into all of her details, but her brother is Robert T. Ives of Flora.
Wow.
And Betsy Ives, Elizabeth Betsy Ives, was buried in the Masonic Cemetery in Delphi. Now, when you look up the Masonic Cemetery, all I can find on it is that it used to be under the jurisdiction of Delphi, but since they have moved it to, not literally move the cemetery, but it's now being maintained by Deer Creek.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of weird financing mumbo jumbo in this article. I'd be interested to talk about it on, the True Crime Talk Show, maybe go into it more. Because I don't understand all the, financy stuff that has to do with it. But it says the Deer Creek Township has assumed ownership of the Masonic cemetery known as the Mount Olive Cemetery at the corner of Armory Road and Hamilton Street in Delphi. The group voted Monday to purchase a sign for the cemetery for $400. According to the Carroll County Area Planning Commission office, there are regulations about signs and permit must be obtained before installation. Trustee Doris McClelland presented township board members David McCain, Janie Smith, and Jane Abbott with a resolution to allow $25,000 short-term loan from the township fund to be added to the Parks and Recreation Fund. McClelland said there is not enough in the Parks Fund to meet obligations, such as a request for Mike Patty for $15,000 for the L&A Park. See, I don't know. It's it's a whole bunch of town financy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting that the lady's name that is in charge of all this is McClelland.
Yeah.
How tight-knit is this community?
It is real tight. It's a tiny town.
It's super tiny.
Extremely small. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So, I started digging into the history of Delphi a little bit, and I wanted to go back to the legend of Delphi.
Okay.
So Delphi is it was named after the town of Delphi in Greece. And if you know anything about masonry, you know that they draw symbolism from all kinds of places. And usually it's supposed to mean something positive, like wisdom, or, they built strong structures, and they say that all of this stuff is supposed to build a better man. That's their goal at the end of the day. If you watch any documentary where a Mason is telling you what their organization is about, it's about being a better person. Literally.
Yeah.
That's what they say. But so this is a secret society, okay, is what this website says, and it's literally from National Geographic. The Oracle of Delphi. In ancient Greece, citizens who had a burning question could seek the gods' wisdom through oracles, and there was no more influential oracle than the one at Delphi. Reaching its peak influence between the 8th and 6th centuries BC, the massive temple dedicated to the god Apollo stood at the heart of the Delphi sanctuary that on most days served as a place of worship. But for 9 days a year, the temple became an oracle when a special medium called the Pythia received a select group of visitors who had made a sizable donation for the privilege. On the appointed day, Pythia, usually a young woman and Delphi native, would drink and bathe in the waters of the Casotis fountain. She then entered the temple to take her place in the inner sanctum, the Adyton. The oracle herself never spoke. Instead, she entered into a trance brought on, according to the Greek historian Plutarch, by mysterious vapors, writhing and convulsing as she uttered strange sounds and cries. The priest interpreted these utterances and produced a response which gave them tremendous power, especially if the question pertained to an important political matter. So basically, historians have looked into this and said there's a fault underneath the town, and it did give off vapor and gases that induced these states.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's way weaker now they said it would have been way stronger back then when this was going on, and it's gotten weaker and weaker over time. So, I'm not going to go into like the history of Freemasons because that's available all kinds of places. And you guys can do that research yourselves. But I did go back into the history of Delphi, Indiana, which I thought was really, really interesting as I looked into it. Because it seems to me to have really deep roots in Freemasonry. And this isn't conspiracy. Like, the Grand Lodge of England, there were Masons that came over from there and literally fought to separate America from England. And they created a society here. Like, so all of the lodges in Indiana came from Kentucky.
Okay.
They came from Kentucky, and I actually don't remember the first one. I think it's some V name, like Tennessee. I don't remember the name of the first one in Indiana. But I do have a document showing it. Maybe I can look at it in a second. But this is about the county history. So Carroll County is actually named after Charles Carroll of Carrollton. He is the only surviving signer of the Declaration of Independence at that time, and he was a prominent Freemason. So in 1828, General Samuel Milroy presented a petition for the formation of Carroll County, named after, Charles Carrollton. And Samuel Milroy is a Freemason.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so the first settlers had come to Carroll County at the end of 1824 to the Delphi area. The earliest families were headed by Abner and Henry Robinson, and also Samuel Milroy. There's also a bunch of other names here. By 1826, there were hundreds of settlers. They built cabins, cleared the heavy timber for roads, farmland, built sawmills and grist mills. They mainly came from Ohio, Virginia, and Kentucky, and the lodges built in Indiana were mostly from Kentucky, but there were some from Ohio as well. The county seat of the government was first called Carrollton, but was soon changed to Delphi. Now, for whatever reason, they claim Henry Robinson founded Delphi, like was the first settling family to settle Delphi, and that he named it. But I don't know if that's actually true. Like, I don't know if there's a historical document stating that. And if Samuel Milroy has to do with the creation of this county and Delphi, he literally lived in Delphi and died like very near there. Like, they probably all had a hand in naming Delphi. And there is significance to Delphi and Freemasonry, and I'm going to show you how. So I have these pictures, and I got them from a Masonic lodge who literally posted them explaining the history. So the Delphic tripod, base of Delphinian tripod, is a powerful symbol in Freemasonry, and it represents the importance of education in the Masonic journey. The tripod is made up of 3 serpents, which represents the 3 pillars of Freemasonry: wisdom, strength, and beauty. The serpents are intertwined, which represents the interconnectedness of these 3 pillars. Likewise, the 3 heads of the serpent support the 3 feet of the tripod, representing the foundation of an education. It's also a reminder of importance of learning from the past. It was originally a religious symbol in ancient Greece, and it was used in the Oracle of Delphi. The Oracle was a place where people came to seek wisdom. We just learned about that. In the craft, Delphic tripod represents the importance of learning from the past in order to build a better future. So that is it. And that symbology is used all over Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And that's from the Oracle of Delphi. And Delphi is the seat of Carroll County, which is named after the last signer of the Declaration of Independence, that was alive and is a prominent Freemason.
That's interesting.
Now, Freemasons at this time, when America was being settled, they had military chapters and all kinds of things. They were literally foundational in building the United States. They were super important. I mean, we know our first president was a Freemason. It's all over the place. Look at the dollar bill. Look at every little tiny speck of a town. It has a Freemason lodge.
Yep.
Every single one.
It does.
Now, while we don't know everything about Freemasons, we know some things, and we know that there is an oath that when a Mason needs your help, which they have to do this certain sign, you have to help them no matter the cost, even if it's your own life. That's an oath they make. It's an oath they make that if they do this certain sign, which is the sign of distress or whatever, I can't remember the name of it, you are bound to help them no matter what. And there are penalties for breaking your oaths. Now, the penalties are gory and terrible. You can look them up if you want. They're absolutely horrible. I don't know if that stuff is actually in practice or if they literally are all just symbolic, you know, or if people just follow them because they don't want to find out. But there have been people to leave Freemasonry and they weren't hurt. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They weren't hurt. But it does make you wonder. Like, I'm not saying there's this huge cabal of Freemasonry that's controlling the planet or anything. But when you have people in a town, all like, especially when it comes to judges, law enforcement, all the prosecutors, all the important people who help run the town and the justice system, and you have somebody who's suspected of a crime, a part of your fraternity, are you going to be honest?
Right. In my opinion, that's bias right there.
It's a secret fraternity.
Yourself.
Yeah, it's a secret fraternity. Like, it's a
it's
brotherhood.
Not so secret. They're putting it on Facebook and
I understand that, but that's not the point of a secret society, is for it to literally be secret.
Yeah, I know.
It's that you take oaths and they are secret.
Yeah.
And I've even heard it described by some historians and people who know things, like experts, I guess you could say, that it's actually a secret society within a secret society. It's a brotherhood within a secret society that is secret. So, like, it's built in layers. So, I mean, we know that. There's degrees of it.
Yeah.
And the higher you go, the more intimate your knowledge. Even Scientology is kind of built that way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I have one more thing, because I mean, it begs to question, like, when you have a town that's literally built by Masons and prominent figures, as we know, are a part of it, and it's hard, honestly, it's really hard to find. It depends. Some people are open about their membership to, you know, Freemasonry, and some people aren't. I know there's been connections made to like Elks and Moose Lodges and lots of other ones. Like, I saw one situation where there was a Freemason who was like over their lodge, who was also over an Elks Lodge, like at the same time.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, and Shriners, apparently you have to be a 33-degree Mason to be a Shriner, which is also interesting. And those places are all over the country. Like, they are everywhere. They're every town in America, pretty much. Which doesn't, that's not saying anything, but it does make me question the ties here. Now, so one interesting thing about Judge Gull, okay, and I have no idea how deep any of this runs, if it runs deep at all. There could be no connection at all. Okay, we commit on this podcast to exploring even the wildest ideas. So I'm just giving you the facts that I've learned. You do with them what you will, but never harass anybody. Never go out there and hurt anybody.
Never.
But
don't even contact people.
Do not even call people. Yes, please don't call people. it is an interesting thing to think about. And, you know, if you can find more information on it, cool. But just know that a lot of these records with certain members are hidden. Like, I had a really hard time finding anything at all on specific people in the area. But what's interesting is you can start to find familial ties. So you can find their great grandfather was a Mason, or this person was a Mason within their family. And the thing about Masons is, you know, a Mason father really wants their son to become a Mason.
Yeah.
It's a lineage thing. It matters to them. Which, you know, a lot of fathers want their sons to follow in their footsteps. And I'm sure there's benefits to being a Mason, especially if you want to assume a career that has, you know, where you need connections.
Yeah.
So there is a man called Dennis Shabig, and he is the secretary on the board of directors for the Shepherd's House in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He is a Shriner. He is so therefore he is a 33rd degree Freemason. And Judge Francis C. Gole's name is on the supporter list for that organization. And Shriner, or I mean, not Shriner, the Shriner guy, Shabig or whatever, Dennis Shabig, is a Fort Wayne retired police officer. And isn't it interesting that Judge Gole, the day she had 2 lawyers kicked off the case, and also simultaneously the only day she had cameras in the courtroom, she did it in the courthouse in Allen County that has a giant Freemason symbol on it.
Yeah.
On the wall.
Yeah.
Because it was built by Freemasons. For the county.
Interesting. I have no idea.
I don't know either. It's just questions. I don't know. But I mean, I thought it was interesting knowing that Brad Holder and McClelland literally go to the same lodges. Now, I couldn't find anything on Westfall being a part of anything. You know, I was asked a question by you, actually, when I talking about this to you, that don't you have to be a Christian to be a Freemason? No. You can believe in whatever you want. You could be an atheist. It doesn't matter.
Interesting.
You can believe in whatever you want as long as you believe in their beliefs, which is the grand architect and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the light. That's all you have to believe is what they believe.
Wild.
So, I mean, it makes me want to look more into because the fact that evidence was deleted of Brad Holder, like his interview, and they never pursued search warrants for his phone is shocking. And it makes me wonder if that's the connection. Is Robert Ives a part of this lodge? Because, you know, all of these lodges actually in the area and surrounding areas of Delphi were, they were condensed into one, which is that lodge, Mount Zion Lodge. I think Tiptoe or whatever that lodge was. I can't remember.
Tipton.
Tipton and Mount Zion are really the only ones around this area at this point. Even the Delphi Lodge merged with Mount Zion.
Whoa.
So a lot of people from Delphi and the surrounding areas go to the same lodge.
So they're communicating together. And that's the important overlap there, is that there is some evidence of associating with each other in the public.
Yeah.
Outside of the case, which could then, you know, make interactions within the case biased, questionable. Maybe somebody else should be looking into it. How many other people are part of this Mason Lodge in the area? How serious do they take their oaths? You know what I mean? Like, those are really important questions.
They are. It makes me wonder how many people, maybe this isn't just an Odinist issue. Maybe it's
Yeah.
also an issue of just interconnectedness in, societies like this.
Small towns.
In small towns. Like,
I know.
and Delphi clearly has a deep-rooted history in masonry. And then you add, this Odinist thing on top of it. Now, I've heard some arguments out there that some of the evidence at the crime scene also has some weird symbolism that connects to Freemasonry too. And actually I did find some evidence for it. But I don't know if I really want to talk about it because it's kind of going out there a little bit, but it kind of actually makes a little bit of sense. There's just one aspect to it that doesn't. I've never heard of a Freemasonry murder like that, though.
I have no idea. I couldn't even give any input on that. I don't know.
We only have that one of the first guy a really long time ago. Remember? You did that whole story?
Oh, gotcha.
What is his name?
Yeah, I don't remember.
William Morgan or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is.
I don't remember. But anyway, there's some overlap there. Knowing that a lot of the lodges condensed, knowing that there's a deep-rooted history here, that there's multi-generational, which I heard Brad Holder is from a lineage of Masons, and so is McClelland. And I think there's a possibility for the old prosecutor to be a Freemason as well, and Judge Gold be associated as well. It's concerning. It's just concerning.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's making also multiple cities also connected. Not just Delphi, but like they're condensed to like only a few lodges.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's also interesting to note that they take an oath in Freemasonry that like when a member asks for a favor, they're not supposed to turn it down. So, my only thing is like, I don't know if all this, because like, just like religion, Freemasonries use a lot of metaphor. So it's like, what is real and what is just metaphor?
Yeah.
What is just symbolic and not real practice and what is not? Because I have a hard time going Fulton Hatland where I'm like, oh yeah, like it's all that. Like there's a cabal, Yeah. I can't go full out that way. But humans are gonna human. You know what I mean? And if there's a tight-knit connectedness among these people, I don't know. Like, I think it's possible, like, people do cover up for people sometimes. It happens. And this case has such weird situations in it that aren't making sense, and it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Where's the infiltration? Where is this corruption coming from? Like, where is the beginning of it? Where's the bad egg that's making the whole place smell?
Yep.
I don't know. I just want to know what you guys think about it. I don't know if anybody's ever really brought it up and talked about it before, other than just pictures posted around the internet. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, it's good information for sure. I think that it could explain a lot because there's a lot of things that are unexplained.
I mean, I wasn't going to talk about it until, because this picture's been out for a while, until the deleted evidence.
Yeah.
That connection matters. The fact that McClelland didn't like offer up any explanation right away and, got them thrown off the case when they started asking questions and stuff. The things alleged in there are pretty significant. And there's real proof, like factual proof proving. I even have an article from the Carroll County Comet of McClelland at a lodge there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is from 2011. That picture's from 2018. He's a longtime member.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm done. I got nothing more to say. I just want to hear your ideas. Tell me if you think it's absurd or if you think it makes some sense. I don't know. I've been literally researching it nonstop all day, and I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
It feels like too much.
Yeah.
But that's it.